count. So, all right. Oh, just when I go live, we lose Bradley. I think he's gonna come back. We'll just wait. In the meantime, oh, whoa, he's gonna come back. Om Namo Saptanam Samyak Sambuddhakotinam Tadyatha Om Chale Chule Chunde Swaha. See, I told you he would be back.
It was, you know what it was? I just downloaded the app instead of going through Telegram, and I think this is going to be more stable.
Ah, no, yeah, you don't want to use Telegram. For sure. So welcome, Bradley, brother. Solar brother. We almost were born on the same day of the year. And yeah, we haven't really talked in public yet. So this is our first public spark giving. So welcome.
We're igniting the tinder. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Aries is the primordial fire sign. It's the lightning type of fire. The one that just in a flash starts everything. It's divine inspiration. We know without needing to investigate. We just know. It's like intuitive knowing.
Yeah, I heard this concept once that each sign gets to know themselves very intimately throughout some period of their life. And because Aries is the first sign, we basically come in very, very secure with who we are and don't really question who we are. We kind of know it on some level. We might doubt it at times, but
the sun, we're talking about the sun specifically now. The sun tends to shine later in life. So you come into your sun more and more. The solar, so here, let's get into this. Do you know Rujar? I talked to you about him.
No.
So he's essentially almost perfectly conjunct with you. Second of Aries, second in terms of the degree, right? So the second degree was him. You're the third. So you guys are born like less than a day apart in a year. And he, to me, really brought astrology forward to probably where it was, or at least partly where it was in the Golden Age. Like he understood enough intuitively. He didn't just repeat what he read. He understood it, and then he tried to explain it. Of course, he wasn't fortunate enough to realize that we don't live in a ball in a vacuum of space, right? So he thought that the Earth goes around the sun, but that was given to me, and then it just sort of everything fell into place. And he explained that astrology is much more than just looking at the stars and trying to figure out what they're saying. It's a symbolic language to talk about the qualities of life. So when we say it's in our language. When we consider, Sider is the stars. We're with the stars. When we're jovial, we're Jupiterian. There's many things. Merchant is Mercury. The soul, right, is Sol is the sun. When somebody is lunatic, he's being lunar. Usually we mean it in a bad way. The moon isn't necessarily bad. It's just when she is, we tend to see it.
How I'm seeing it is there's all these different archetypes, and I don't know what the stars are exactly, what's beyond, the firmament, or, but those archetypes are playing as well, and their energies oscillate and move up and down, which affect what's going on down here. And obviously during our conception or our birth, those energies, I imagine, just get imprinted in some way.
Yeah, you know how they make magnets artificially?
No.
So you have like obviously natural magnets, which are mined. They're like a certain type of rock, but we can make magnets. So they take a certain kind of metal, obviously a certain alloy, which is magnetic, and then they liquefy it with heat so that it becomes, um, you know, so that it moves, so that and then they send a magnetic field through that, and it creates this alignment, this magnetic alignment because of the field, and then they cool it in that position,
Mm,
which is sort of like if they didn't, then they would sort of just realign themselves positive to negative, and it wouldn't create this augmented magnetic field. So when the spirit takes the body, which
mm,
is really literally the breath, right? Spirit is breath, because the spirit is not from the body; it takes the body. So the breath existed in an intangible form, and then it sort of took the body when it comes out of the mother. And then there's sort of you get that same effect with the celestial field, and that sort of very malleable infant becomes imprinted with that
right, right, right.
celestial field.
Yes.
So
I'm
in essence, we're all the same.
yeah, I'm wondering how we can use that concept of like becoming malleable, melting down, if you will, and
Yeah,
then
the rebirth.
putting a certain pattern in that we want to be there, something wholesome, something
Yeah,
good natured, something where these patterns that maybe we have already identified but still kind of grip us in some way, that we want to let go of. How can we then solidify those patterns like in a mundane way? Like I'm just thinking, we're
people do
drinking.
it sometimes like without realizing. They
Oh
they
yeah,
go through
I'm
a
sure we're doing it.
rebirth. Like
Oh yeah,
when I started Shivambu, probably when you started Shivambu, you had a sort of rebirth because it created that malleable state where you basically wiped clean. At least part of your organism got cleaned up, and then it
right,
left
right,
the room for whatever energy was there to re-imprint.
right, right. Yeah, I feel like the practice of Shivambu is just a constant melting of deeper and deeper layers and
Yeah,
reprinting. Um,
I've been calling it the second chance lately.
the second chance, yeah, yeah. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth.
Yeah, but symbolically, the second over and over.
Right, and that's so
Because
beautiful.
even like in a very crude way, you look at someone who's diagnosed with a terminal condition, whatever it is, whatever they call it, and then he finds out, fortunately, about this practice, and he can get a new body. He gets like another 25 years or whatever. He gets a second chance.
Right, right. Well, speaking of second chances, I'm here at my aunt's house, and she's quite open minded. Um, she hasn't ingested her own urine, but I have convinced her to do the experiment basically that I think Darlene conducted on people, which is that 2 week long, you're aging a small amount and then you're doing Basti for, the 2 week old urine. And
Yeah.
so I ordered the cups and everything. She's going to start, I guess, 2 weeks from now. So I'm really curious because she has autoimmune disease and just a lot of chronic illness. So it'll be a it'll be like a first experiment on someone else, and I'm really excited about it.
Mm. Yeah, and she can age as much as she can because there's no
Oh,
control here, right? No,
definitely.
I
Oh,
love the enemas. It's been a part of my at some point, maybe a few weeks into it, I remember I was watching Santos Bonacci. They did a video about this subject, and the way he said, "Oh my God, the enemas," then I got up and I like hunted through the house for something to do an enema with. I found these sort of ketchup style bottles they have in Asia, like to put the sauce on the. We had one of
yeah.
those, and
Squirt
I did
bottle.
my yoga pose upside down, and I took me 2 or 3 tries. I'd never done an enema, and now I'm more equipped. Like I have an actual bulb. It helps, but
Yeah.
it's felt like an LSD, a micro LSD trip.
Hmm. Yeah, it can be very psychedelic.
And
Yeah, there's
right
a lot of
now,
resistance to enemas I've noticed in the lay
mm-hmm,
public, and
yeah, it's sort
there's
of in
even
line
with
with
people
that.
who want to do it, even with people who want to do it, understand its health benefits. There's just like this. That sounds like a lot of work. There's some block there, and once someone does it a couple times, realizes it's easy, doesn't have to be messy, takes a little time, but the effects are immediate, noticeable, and
It
yeah,
gets you in the door.
definitely cleaning the colon out is huge. It's huge. I mean, you're not going to reach the small intestines, but having the colon clean will allow it to start vacuuming up everything else in the body. And like that, you have to keep that moving. That is such a key part of our our whole system, basically, is keeping the sewage system flowing, flowing.
Yeah, I
Especially we're
heard.
in an onslaught, right? We're just getting so much from every which way direction. So really important nowadays to get that channel like cleared up. And here's some low hanging fruit where you can clear it up, within a matter of weeks, really, like really clear it up and do some good work. It's a no brainer.
So, do you see yourself as not yourself as, but do you see in your path that you have you have this role to play in Shivambu, um, in terms of the world, humanity, and bringing Shivambu to humanity or something?
You know what? I feel drawn to like supporting the people who like you and Joanna, like that
Mm-hmm.
are really putting it out there, creating platforms like that are like new faces of it basically. And I like being kind of behind the scenes in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
um but I'm happy to be a face for it as well. um I just support
So
the
what
movement.
so what do you see on your path mainly at what you do with your hands and your time then? I've seen
uh
you do the sculpture.
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Um, you
I
do the
think I'm
music, the poetry over music style,
yeah, I
like
think I'm
that
into it. I'm into
art.
Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, uh for sure. Like I couldn't see myself creating a guide or writing a book about Shivambu, but I love
Right.
talking about it. I love getting on here about it. And
Maybe like compose a song and
oh, if
do
you
it in a
listen to my
con.
song, if you listen to my songs, there's cryptic lines about Shivambu in it without question
Right.
already. Yeah, they're in there. Um, and yeah, it's
So
just part of my life. So in
doing a
there.
concert at a Bretharian Shivambu festival,
um, man, I don't even know.
doing the art for the scene.
Yeah, I guess if people wanted that, I don't really think about like performing as far as like a big goal of mine. I've done it and I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy with it, but uh, I'm more happy just in the process of making it. Uh, so, but yeah,
Right.
you know how it is. We surrender in this path, so we get called to certain things, and it is what it is. So I feel pretty easygoing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Um,
speaking of initiation, when do we want to do like a Shivambu retreat? I'm really into that.
well, that's the plan. It's not just one. It's like many, many, many. And retreat is just one aspect, like a center,
A gathering,
a gathering, a festival, a retreat.
a confluence.
Yeah, a group, a support group, a hotline. Um, like the TV style podcast platform thing, right? An
Right.
online like documentation reference place, like basically laying the empire of Shivambu back on Earth.
Word, dude. I love it. That's a big vision. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, sounds
that's
great.
yeah.
I, I I love the idea. I've been in situations where I've been around other people, totally comfortable with it, and just like having your own mason jar or whatever, like just it's uh it's a special thing. It's a special thing.
Yeah, it's
So
like there's that second wave coming up. I can feel it, where it's a more of a numbers game, because the whole arguing over why it's good only gets you the people that are interested in the truth seeker, the pure truth seekers at heart. They're not many. And then the second wave is the people who are in tune with the social mood, and they're looking for the truth in the social mood instead of in the facts, and they need that community. So once there's that numbers that come up, which is actually happening, I'm seeing it in Twitter, which is very kind of more mainstream platform than Telegram, say. And we just sort of kind of made this spearhead into Twitter, where we just had a space yesterday, a big space on a regular, what they call it, space. It's like an audio conference with many people speaking and a bunch of people listening, and we got a platform to talk about Shivambu, and we had a person who actually heard about it because of us on Twitter, who's now like, he's actually our trine. He's an early Leo, and he really became enthusiastic to the point where he's met people around him where he lives that said, "Let's do a bus tour and tell your story everywhere." So it's gotten a bunch of people interested, and whereas like 3 months ago we were sort of like the black sheep, and nobody knew what to think of us, and now it's sort of like people are asking questions and they're interested in hearing. A lot of people have said we're thankful for the testimonies, like just you, Bradley, coming on and even just letting people know that you do this and that you're well and it works great. And just
definitely.
hearing this from different people is going to create this social interest where people who are socially attuned can actually clue into the community aspect. And that's when you really like get this gathering and
Right, right.
festivals. And so whereas before it was just mostly a curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
true.
it's exciting. I'm excited about this. Like, we're at the point where people can look at this as a career,
Oh, interesting.
especially if
Yeah.
they're
I
willing to
guess so.
relocate.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because if you're one of the people who are now going to look into this, because it's becoming more and more uh, widespread in terms of just hearing about it, um, more and more people are saying the word urine therapy. So they hear
Right,
about it. And it's like
right.
John Armstrong. Did you read at least the beginning of the John Armstrong's book, The Water of Life?
I've read John Armstrong's book more times than I can count.
Yeah. So when he started, all he had was Proverbs 5
Yep.
and this one or two story of this
From a
young
pamphlet.
girl who had healed through doing this, healed something. And then he was like in a really bad shape. And he just thought, well, that's all he had to go by. And he was just desperate enough to actually
And his
give it a shot.
grandfather. He knew his
Yeah,
grandfather would use things on his animals when he was younger too.
right.
Yeah, and then he
So
just
now
went
we're at the point where
35 days.
everybody can
Oh,
almost hear about it, at least even in the derogative manner. They like, oh, these crazy people, but at least they know about it. So if they actually get diagnosed with this terminal condition, now they're
it
maybe
might
gonna
reach
be
their
look.
threshold.
Yeah, and then they probably live in a society, like in terms of social circle, that wouldn't allow them to even do this. Now they're going to be looking up in the phone book where can I actually go to do this. Like,
Right,
as a center.
right.
And there are places there has been some that have been closed down. I know Edward Group used to cure people with it, or at least he used to advertise that he did. Now he probably just doesn't say it
Right.
because they closed them down on that. They didn't like it in the States. So I know in India, I know in Mexico there was a place, and this whole private society with the online thing makes it possible to do it without advertising publicly that you do, which is what we want to do, basically.
Definitely. Definitely.
We just beat the regulation by making a private membership.
Right. Well, it's
So
very
there's
well
no
thought through.
services. You're not offering any services. You're just offering membership.
Right.
And then
Right.
when you join, there's a non-disclosure. Like you can't, you know, I don't know. We're gonna have to word this out, but basically you cover yourself legally.
Yeah, and I think as a practitioner of Shivambu, discernment is something that I'm honing constantly. So even in a situation like that, just because any John Jane wants to be a member or go on a lengthy urine fast, you know, I might not accept that. I might not be willing to facilitate that. I would vet people, like get an
Yeah,
idea of their background, like how fast
yeah,
can they detoxify, like what are their channels like now,
right. No,
starting
I
on a
even think
5 10
of circles like where you have a more wide membership of people who just uh, they sort of recognize the sovereignty of the individual, basically. And I like to say there is no authority without consent. Basically, that would
right.
be the only line I need you to say in front of the camera. I recognize that there is no authority without consent. Now you become a member of the alliance membership. And then within this, there are some small circles that have their own requirements.
Yes, yes. So I just had an idea, like if Shivambu is a practice, then what's level one Shivambu? What's level two? What's level three? What's level four? What's level five?
We already
Let's
did
talk
that.
about that. Let's talk about that a little bit, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah,
Curious
yeah,
what
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. We actually call it the Breatharian scale because to me, Shivambu is really in that scale.
It's true, but like even a guy like me, like I'm not interested in being a breatharian. I once was. I was very fascinated with it, but I don't have the same interest. I do want to up my like pranic capacity and bandwidth, but I want to be able to
Right. So
also
so
not
so
be
maybe pranic
around.
scale.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
pranic
No,
scale is
that's probably what we called it. But it's just that the basically the highest level was basically only Shivambu.
right. Level one is what? Level one is probably just topical. Let's say, just
And
maybe.
it's would also talk about what you don't ingest anymore, like no hardcore narcotics or alcohol and stuff like that. It's kind of like beginner,
Yeah, but
maybe.
even
I don't
even
know.
if someone's doing that and still in grips with that, I
Oh yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
in Shivambu will eventually trickle down into those other
Hmm.
patterns. Um,
So you want to be like make a Shivambu scale. What we did was we incorporated Shivambu into a scale.
right.
So there was like extra points for doing Shivambu no matter where you were. But at a certain point, there was a level to where Shivambu was required to achieve that scale.
Yeah, I can see how eliminating certain things can be helpful, but I don't think they are mandatory. As in, like if you get to level three Shivambu, you're drinking it daily. I'm just spitballing here. You're drinking it
Yeah,
daily.
yeah.
There's though I'm just saying Shivambu's so much bigger than what you're not doing in your other world that it will just affect all of that. So I'm just trying to get
So
them
the
to level.
basic level is basically to recognize that it exists and that it has merit.
Yeah, level zero is hearing about it. um,
But like not renouncing it, saying, okay, yes, there's merit into this. That would be like your starting level, opening your mind to it,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Level one, what is it? Topical. That's what comes to mind to me. It's
Yeah,
just like
coming into contact, kind of willingly coming into contact with it in whatever
with your
way, shape,
skin,
or form. It could be even just saving
smelling
it,
it.
like putting it into a bottle and watching it.
Okay, well, I would say that's then level one would be topical, or level two would be topical because saving it doesn't quite get to skin contact. Um,
No, yeah.
so saving it, that's a good level though because you do want people who get involved in this practice do recognize
Or
the
maybe
value.
that's your first level is to just save some and,
Right,
consider it and let it
right,
age and put it in the sun and look at it and stuff like that.
right. Okay,
And
level
then skin contact, that's a good one.
okay. Skin contact, maybe putting a few drops in your orange juice. Like I'm thinking how
Oh,
you
now we're upping
it,
the game.
well,
Ingestion
maybe, yeah,
is
yeah.
is a big
Ingestion is
step.
probably level three. It's probably level three, a little higher for sure. Um, yeah, I find you can get maybe people through vanity a little bit. Uh, you know, rubbing it on their face helps with wrinkles. Rubbing it on your hair makes your hair more voluminous. This, that, and
Mm-hmm.
the other. Like kind
Well,
of
plus
use
how
the
many
ego.
products are made already by pharmaceuticals that use urea, which is basically from urine. So
Yeah, it's
people already unknowingly kind of use it. It's just funny.
it is funny. I get to a point where it's just like, why the fuck aren't you using it? It's almost stupid if you're not. It is. It gets to
Well,
that point where it's
Katama
like,
is
wow,
like
you're
that.
just wasting
It,
resources. Like you're just throwing money away. It'd be like that. You're just emptying your bank account daily.
Katama is like that, man. It makes us do stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They're just living it out.
Say that again. What likes it?
Karma, like
Karma. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the wheel of samsara. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why do we fall? That's the great mystery is what they call karma. Is just they're in that phase, and a big part of finding peace for somebody like us is to realize that deeply that because I used to get mad and it didn't help me, so it didn't help anyone.
No. No. It's comical at some
I
point.
almost got into a fist fight one time.
Why don't you drink your piss?
It was about flat Earth actually,
Oh, it
but
was.
yeah,
I
it,
could
it, it would be like similar thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, yeah. Everyone's on their own journey, and it just becomes funny. Everyone's drama, including my own. Hey, I have my own drama.
Hmm.
Um, and but just
It's
to know that
beautiful.
you've got like a magic elixir akin to a panacea that you are just pumping out daily, and you just let it go to waste. It's both funny and tragically sad and heavy and
That's why the Toltec said that sadness is the most prevalent uh, feeling substance in the universe,
yeah, yeah.
which is why
Sadness.
joy has value. It would have to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true.
So, yeah, finding peace was a big part for me of letting go of trying to save the world. Like, it will happen, or whatever will happen will happen. Whatever I'm supposed to
Yeah.
channel.
And what's supposed to be saved? What is the world? The illusion is supposed to be saved. It's like there's that layer
Yeah,
of people.
but in order to save anything, it has to be lost.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
if anything, we created this mess so that we would have something to do.
Right. Yeah. Anything to be
If
enlightened has to
if
be
if you're
pure.
if you're an infinite, perfect, immortal consciousness, then you have to create confusion in order to find clarity.
Definitely. And clarity is a gradation, right? And we're just seeing that, okay, we're resonating with there's a part of this game. We know it's all bullshit. None of it really exists. But we're playing this game, so let's at least learn to play it effectively where we can help others and create something valuable, joy. And
Yeah, the joy is real.
yeah. And so
The
then
feeling is
we
real.
resonate to practices that are universal, that are free, that are accessible, that are highly effective, and they're already built in the software. So naturally, we
Yeah, you
come
know the
to,
Matrix, the movie, the
yes,
red pill is Shivambu.
I haven't heard that. That's interesting, though. Yeah, the blood, right? The blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So
surrounded by a clear casing, the pill, which is almost like the urine itself, that the clear aspect of it.
yeah, reality has to tell the truth, however it is. So
Right.
then in that light, everything that I do with people that are not ready to go there is essentially to get them to build up more power in order that they could do it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that is a
And
big part of serving and a big part of just doing our own thing,
because after
exemplifying it.
that, once it's a guide, like once they've found that place, which is a living place. Shivambu is a living place because it starts to talk to you. I can come out of the picture at that point. My job is done. Like they can come to me and ask me, so what's next?
Or
And I have stuff to say about that, of course. But now we're getting pretty hardcore. But
yeah,
at
we're
least,
are we on level 4 now? Let's talk level 4.
well, that's when we have to start talking about what you take out.
See, I'm just not. To me, it's like the taking out aspect of it is just a symptom of what is happening with the Shivambu. And so I
Yeah,
don't,
because
in
it's
my own
guiding
mind, I
you
don't,
there.
yeah, I don't,
That's what happened to me. Like
yeah,
it's telling me, okay, now you don't need this anymore.
right, right, right. But
So
did
it's
you
not that
sit
you
there and
take it
think
out,
about, you think
like
about
you
it, or
can't
did it just
force
happen?
it. You can't force it out.
No,
I
no, no,
tried.
no.
I tried that. It didn't work.
Well, it definitely can't work because it's not recognizing that whatever the thing was that you need to give up was medicine for its time. And it's not until we're done with that medicine that we move past it. Yeah, exactly. Things naturally fall away. So I guess I don't. When I think of level 4, I'm still not in the mindset of okay, these things I removed. Those things happen. We could talk about things that might go out of your life after you start
Well,
ingesting
that's
it.
what the scale is. It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
like
yeah.
talk about the path of what happens.
Exactly. Okay. Okay.
So
I'm speaking
so
strictly about
we
Shivambu and
can
my relationship with what I'm doing with it as far as the levels go. But you're right. I totally understand what you're saying.
so you need a disclaimer with your scale. Basically, it's like don't try and like zoom your way through to like level 6 because it's
Okay, then
gonna
you give
backfire.
maybe time frames for each level.
Don't use this as like an ego thing where I'm level 6 and stuff. I can see the usefulness of the scale though.
Yes, yes. But even then, right? What if you do use it for an ego thing? Wouldn't that also
No,
just
that's
fall away?
fine. That's
Yeah.
that's who you are. That's your
Right.
path.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then it'll you'll have a step back after that. And
Exactly.
that's part of life, for
Exactly.
sure. The same way that the sodium chloride that's poisoning the body is a part of life because you need it at that moment. Mostly it's a narcotic. It's used for social reasons and for
Right.
grounding. But you needed that level of density at that moment in your dharma.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
So
Like
basically,
I
bro, what we're doing, all we're doing is trying to figure out how to shove people in the door and get them to play the game we're playing so that we can have some fun and do some cool
did
shit.
you ever read Castaneda?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so one of the lines of Juan Matus was the worst thing one can do is confront people directly.
Mm.
I think he was Aries,
The
Don
worst thing we
Juan.
can do is confront people directly. Yeah, because that pushes them away from the door.
It's a bad strategy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
So we
So
have
our
to be
strategy,
clever.
yeah, and just exemplify and like show how valuable it is. Like I feel my life is a really joyful, meaningful, purposeful life, even though it's simple and mundane. Like I just feel like I'm constantly learning in this life and growing in it, and I have to attribute that to my foundational practices and one of those is Shivambu, and there's not many of them. Basically, meditation and Shivambu are my foundation, and movement, walking, whatever. Those are
Yes,
things that
movement.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, if I keep those
The
three,
more I, the
it
more
all
I
works.
do the what I call the body magic, the magical movement, the better I feel. You have to use magic and the voice.
Well, and all of our cells start become magical, basically. So our movement is already magical. The more saturated we are with the magic fluid.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, I was already moving,
yes,
and
great.
then I added intent into the magical intent into the movement. What they call Tai Chi, Qigong, whatever. It's basically just movement with the intent of creating magic with it.
Mm,
So people do it when they do sports. That's why, like, Olympic athletes are actually a sort of sorcerer themselves. They're touching into potentials in themselves that few people even tap into.
yes, yes.
Especially
Yeah,
people like 100-meter runners and stuff like that. Like that's intense. It's deep intensity.
definitely. Or even just a moment of like pure exertion and opening up the body, that some athletes can access to.
Yeah.
So what level 4 would be what? Starting to snort it through your nose, take it to your butt, just putting it in
Well,
other holes,
definitely
probably
are you're definitely drinking some aged,
drinking aged. I think
which
that's
I
level
started
5.
doing.
I think that's level 5. I feel like level 4 is
Okay.
just playing with other holes, playing with other
Okay.
holes,
Okay.
breath, because the intensity of aged through some of
Well,
these
how
other
many levels
holes.
are you gonna have?
I don't know, man. I'm just having fun. 5, 6.
Usually it's usually it's
Let,
7.
let's find the top then. All right, let's establish our limit. What is the absolute highest level? Let's say 7.
Only
What is that?
Shivambu.
Only Shivambu, fasting on Shivambu, basically.
Well, I think Damar Tantra is basically gonna tell you, when you're mixing herbs, a little bit of herbs. So
A
you
little bit of
whatever
herbs. Yeah.
whatever nutrition you want to get from food, you get from that little bit of Ayurvedic medicine that you mix with your Shivambu, and that's it.
Okay, because don't take away my lemon juice and cayenne, bro. I'm attached
No,
to.
that's top. Lemon is top. Cayenne, of course, you like is the Mars energy.
Mm,
I like it too, and all these other magical like moringa, rosemary, cinnamon, haritaki. You have to
haritaki.
get haritaki.
Okay, it's almost like we're playing with these herbs at some point, just for seeing how they interact with us, because we can start to become sensitive and subtle enough to
Oh
experience.
yeah. If I start fasting and I take a little bit of like a quarter teaspoon of haritaki in my shivambu, I feel it.
What is haritaki?
It's a tropical fruit from I forget the name of the tree, but one of the interesting things about it, essentially, if you could say, is there's a figure in Buddhism called the Medicine Buddha. It's usually painted in blue, and it's quite common in sculptures. And he sometimes hold in his right hand, I believe, I don't know, one of his hand, he holds this little sprout of a tree, which is the tree that grows haritaki. So the medicine Buddha even is saying that this is a panacea. And if you read the oldest Ayurvedic scripture we have from India, which is sort of this long list of recipes, like 90% of the recipes start with haritaki. So it's why? Well, astrologically, it's very rich in Saturnian energy. Oh, salt. So if you want to cure people of their salt addiction, there you go. Why do people want Saturn? Because Saturn is grounding. Saturn is the earth. If you look at astrologically, the sun and the moon are the two main lights, right? The two main symbols, the yin and the yang. But there's always three. There's always a trinity. So the third one is the Earth, and the Earth astrologically is Saturn. So we need
That's
Saturn, and even like in nutrition or the mainstream nutrition, they would say the things that are associated with Saturn will actually allow you to absorb more solar and lunar energy.
okay. Okay.
Because when you get more energy, you need more grounding.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Or else you're just frying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And when
the,
you get more
that's
grounding, you need more energy also. It's sort of like this dance when you balance them.
right. The energy is like the melting we were talking about earlier, and the grounding is the, okay, set the imprint, basically, solidify it.
Like the tree is such a good image. You know, it has to grow roots and reach for the light
Right.
at the same time. It's like this.
Hmm.
And the moon is really just an aspect of the sun. It's this more accessible light of the sun. You know, you can't get too close to the sun, they say, because it'll burn you. What's that story? Icarus.
Mm-hmm.
You got too close to the sun. So you need the moon to help us to sort of incorporate the consciousness of the sun more slowly with the moon cycle.
Mm.
So it's really all solar. And then you have the sun and the earth, heaven and earth. That's what
Yeah.
the whole thing is always about, been heaven and earth. Grounding and reaching for the celestial. And Shivambu does both.
Yeah, it does. So,
It's the panacea practice. It's like what the Toltecs call recapitulating. I said it's the organic physical aspect of recapitulation is Shivambu. It's making peace with your past through your blood.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that becomes freed up. Like you're freeing things up in your body the same way you're freeing your memories up when you recapitulate. And then when you do Shivambu, you recapitulate even more. Because then
Mm-hmm.
you have to confront all this stuff about your genitality and the fluids coming out of there. It's very sexual.
Yeah, it's true.
So it puts you into contact with your sexuality and your the way you eat also, like obviously what you put in your body, and not just that,
Wait.
but how you feel, right? You'll become acidic when you're angry, so you'll taste that.
Well, let's remember that eating is very sexual in many ways too.
Yeah,
They're very connected.
yeah, we're kind of making love with the earth when we eat her fruits.
Yes.
So haritaki is like super good. It's seen as a panacea in Ayurveda. And there's equivalents like northern herbs. Obviously, Ayurveda was written in India, so it's seen from a tropical angle. But there are herbs up in and cannabis is a Saturnian herb, so we can see why it helps people to ground a lot. I was a big user of cannabis for a long time.
Mm. Yeah, same. Same. Um, I'm curious what your thoughts are on a gathering and what that might look like. I'm just starting to plant seeds for that. I know we talked last time with someone about something in New Mexico, and I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
anything's going to germinate from that, but I do want to keep the conversation going, whether it goes in that direction or somewhere
Oh,
else.
I plug in my laptop before it dies. So that's Sienna, and yes, she started. She's not talking about it much, but I know she started a little bit. Um, so she's sort of like a tiptoeer, type. But she's really into the community side, and yes, she wants to do something, but it's not centered around that. So we can focus on our own thing. That's mainly about that. Let's make, I
Yeah.
guess, Shivambu. I would focus on the solstice because astrologically speaking, it's a bomb. It's a Sun Jupiter conjunction on the solstice coming up.
Well,
Not that it can't happen before, but I would definitely
we're
shoot for
talking
that because
March. Yeah, March is
no, the
great.
solstice,
Which
not the
solstice?
equinox.
June 21st. Okay.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
the point of Cancer, but yeah.
yeah,
You
I
can do
think
that.
I,
You can switch your timekeeping to true solar time. So right now it's
yeah,
the 20th of Capricorn.
oh,
I
that's
don't
nice.
have to look because I know, but I don't know what the date is. Oh yeah, it's the 9th of January or whatever. But I don't. I only look if I have to time something with somebody else who doesn't know real
Of
time.
course, of course, of course. Okay, so
Just a tip, by the way, to you. You might want to look into that. But
I mean,
people who
it sounds pretty easy. It's just 28 of
people who
them.
want to learn a bit about astrology, it's one of the like basically basic practice is to keep track of astrological time. So that's one thing. Anyway, so the solstice is really good astrologically. It's a Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter is like fortune, wisdom. It's gonna be good. So, and Texas, aren't you centered around there? Or I know you were there.
I'm in, well, no, I'm centered in Georgia, but I will be in Europe from, I'm
Oh
pretty busy.
wow.
I'll be in Europe from like late April to August, early August.
Oh wow, you're gonna be here.
I'll be in Europe, yeah, yeah. And
Where?
then Wales, Scotland, and Greece and France is on the docket right now. I love the idea.
Greece is a good spot.
I'm trying to run a retreat with a couple buddies in Greece for a week, but it would be sweet to like do another Shavambu gathering in that same spot later that month because the spot is just epic. The in Greece, it's
Yeah,
an
for
island.
me, I would focus totally on solar, like sunny places. Because
Yeah,
Shivambu
so
is very sun.
July, July in Greece would be very nice because it's pre. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I would. I like that idea.
Which is why I want to settle myself in southern Spain, which is the in terms of like populated places, Malaga, the city in Costa del Sol in southern Spain is in the sunniest city in Europe. It's not the sunniest place in Europe, but in terms of where people live, it's the sunniest place in Europe. So I want to base myself there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in Malaga. I've never been myself, but uh, some friends, a Shivambu brother actually ran a retreat there a couple of years in a row. Not a
Well, there you
Shivambu,
go.
but like an elemental retreat. So yeah, dude, what do you think about Greece? Or
Yeah,
I mean,
Greece
we
is
could
good.
start planting seeds. It's
And
that
here, Montenegro is there's interesting aspects to it because um I can actually stay here. I can't stay in Europe for more than 3 months every 6 months. Like Europe, I mean the EU. It's not part of the EU, and it's quite nice. I mean, it's Mediterranean. There's it's civilized and stuff. But yeah, Greece is awesome. It's part of the EU.
yeah, Greece is great, man, and the island is is special.
Crete.
No, it's a small island called Samothraki. It's not a well-known island,
Okay.
um, but it provides everything. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
There's many islands.
what would you think we would offer? What kind of what does that look like? A Shabambu gathering. That's
Well, we would try to get some well-known figures to maybe, but it doesn't have to. I would do magic ceremonies, chanting, and sun ceremonies. Um, you could also incorporate the food that sort of goes in line with Shibambu with having nice plasma. So you would offer that food and also show people how how to eat, possibly workshops, stuff like that, and yeah, mostly the ceremonies is what's interesting to me, and speakers. Obviously, I'm happy to give a speech about
right, right.
even more than Shivambu. For me, like Shivambu, like you say, is a door,
Right.
and it's centered around that. But I would call it a pranic festival almost.
Okay.
So breathing, we could do breathing. It's a big part of it. Tai Chi, Qigong type stuff. Art, because when you get more energy from Shivambu, you get creative. So we could have like maybe you want to do some live sculpture, show
We
people
might
how
have
to
to
sculpt.
yeah, maybe that island isn't the best spot for this. I mean, because that's sounding
Yeah,
like
you want an easy place to get to.
this sounds like it's needing more infrastructure. This would be like camping out in the woods, basically. Um,
Because the easier it is to get to, the more people are likely to come. You really want to shoot for
okay, so
at
okay, that's
first.
it.
At first, anyway, the first retreat should be easy to get to. Not that when we get momentum and there's a lot of people who are like, oh, let's go to this small island, then you have like, you
But we
know,
can go there.
people pre-committed. When you have
Right,
people
right, right, right.
pre-committed,
Oh, this is
so let's
good. This is
start
good.
easy and accessible.
They're already doing one there.
Anyway,
Um,
we're brainstorming, right? We're projecting.
yeah, yeah, brainstorming for sure. So okay, something more accessible then. And how many people would you? It's a good question. Yeah, I guess.
You probably you can't expect the first one to be huge in terms of number of people, but although it would be huge energetically, that's for sure. Like for me, if 5 people showed up, we can make it happen.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Like I
Um,
don't really care. If 2 people showed up, I'll make it happen.
do you think the kind of participants are there learning for Shivambu like in a real way for the first time, or are they people who have already done it before?
Well, there's gonna be people like me and you that are just excited to meet other people, so they're already practicing, and then possibly the people they would bring with them.
Yes,
Because if
I'm
you
almost
make it
seeing like two
exciting
things.
about other stuff, like let's offer something for people that would want to come just because of the spectacular of it, right? So if you have somebody so could do some of fire and what do you call it? Of the fire eaters and like the juggler and whatever, like somebody wants to perform performance. It'd be good to have
Yeah,
performance.
yeah. I think having some of those things also like it narrows our audience a little bit. I'm just thinking of like the universal aspect of Shivambu, right? But then we add like
Hmm.
a practice like Qigong or a sun ceremony
Yeah,
or something like this. These are
yeah.
all great things on their own, but I'm just wondering if that kind of puts it into a different niche. You know what I'm saying? It's like Shivambu
It's
and
because the intent of the people who are behind the event is Shivambu. Like we're the people who are going to put this together. So it doesn't really matter if we add a bunch of other stuff because our main intent is to get people there
right. Okay, so
and talk
basically,
about Shivambu. So
right.
everything else is just a strategy and for
Okay.
us to have more fun.
Okay, that's exactly what I need to hear. Is just for us to have more
We're
fun.
just finding a
Doing the
way to get
ceremonies for
people to
you.
show up. Like it doesn't even matter why they're there. Just come.
Right. Okay. So that yeah, and though each person that is facilitating has a knowledge base on Shivambu, will share
Hence
on that,
hence the power of musicians. You
and
know,
we can
why did
do what's fun.
we have so many conspiracies about did they kill Jimi Hendrix? Did they kill John Lennon? Because musicians bring crowds together. So
Mm,
if we just get a single good performer, like maybe yourself, maybe we can both put together a performance. Like I sing, I
mm,
dance, I do my own performance. I'm happy to. But yeah, and then it doesn't even matter, like I said, if not a whole lot of people come up because we're gonna record it and people are gonna see how freaking awesome it was. And the second time around, they're all gonna show up.
right. So each person, yeah, that's a great thing. Each person gets to share on Shivambu and just do something that they want to do because it's fun.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
not about the
vibration will
money.
attract the right people anyway. So
It's
whatever.
just about doing it, and the money, if it comes, is later, and it's only to make it bigger and invite more people. Like,
Word.
yeah. So you make it cheap. It's not about like the ticket price. Um, Probably some money is gonna come out of something else to do it, and then the intent is just the intent.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this
what
is also why I'm interested in personally doing the call it the Chris Manley protocol, like quitting food at least for I don't know 40 days or something. But like I said, for me the herbs I don't need to take that out because it's like a quarter spoon of haritaki and moringa a day, just that little bit, which is not hard for the system to digest, is going to give so much like solar energy and Saturnian energy to just to like make things happen more powerfully and quickly than just the body running on its own sun. You know what I mean? And because I know that if I do that, and especially probably if I do it, Joanne will, I'm going to get attention.
well, it's yeah, for sure. It's
Just
such a
because
balance.
I'm going to get so powerful myself and channeling
Right.
stuff,
Right.
and because then I can say it. Like, yeah, I'm not eating food for X months. And that just gets people's attention. Like, what?
Sure. Sure.
So a part of it is sort of a marketing stunt for me. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like that. That's my
Yes.
style, you know,
Yes.
like I would part just a small part of it, why I would do it. But for
Sure.
sure,
Sure.
why I want to do it is to live that experience. Like, what did the ancestors feel when they did that? Because I'm convinced that the golden age was full of Breatharians.
Mm. Yeah. Who would probably eat fruit just for shits and gigs because it was good. I can't
Yeah,
get
it's
rid of
sort of
fruit.
like why we would
Sure.
smoke a joint.
Right. Right. Right.
For them, it was a mango,
Right.
and they got high on it, like whew,
Oh, dude.
flying on the mango.
Well, on a durian or a pawpaw,
Yeah,
I'm getting pretty baked on that.
yeah. When you're clear and lucid like that, you just.
Hmm.
I remember I did just 3 days of Shivambu fast, and then I had a mango, and it was flying.
What about late June somewhere?
Yeah, well, that's why I said the solstice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really should shoot for it because it's a Sun Jupiter
That's
conjunction. It's just
that's like I have a
bingo.
window there. I have a
Plus,
window
the
there.
solstice is the festival season. Like everybody does a festival in the solstice. So if we really just you need good graphics, so you get a we've been talking about getting a Mid-Journey subscription. They do the AI graphics. You pump out a bunch of cool graphics. Um, we have the multi social media platform to keep streaming this stuff out, and we just keep pumping up our ideas. Like, here's what we're planning on doing, and oh, here's another thing, and then oh, we got somebody else join now. He's gonna be coming. Like, I would invite people like Eli Tom, Elamim, the Bertharian, or like anybody who's sort of within range of what we're talking about, like Harry Matadine, the guy who read the book on aged urine, and anybody who wants to come,
Yeah, yeah. I can think of a
because
few
then you get
people.
their community into it, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, why not just invite people? So what's somewhere accessible then?
Spain,
Spain, back to
it's in
work.
the middle
Are you
and it's
open to it
sunny.
being maybe in later June, not like on the 21st? I think I'm actually busy on the solstice itself.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll do one anyway, and then we can do another one.
Yeah,
Maybe we keep it rolling long. I don't know. Where are you gonna be,
that's true. Yeah, things are going to change, but I do want to like
or where do you think you'll be?
I think I'll be with my folks. I'm meeting them out there in Europe for like 2 or 3 weeks, I think. So in
Where?
June, France, Italy, somewhere around here. France for sure at some point. Because I have
So
family.
your family lives in Europe?
I have family in Europe. I have cousins in Europe. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
Well, I don't know. I mean, you have a lot of time to sort of dream about that. I think the dreamland is where we get our best um, epiphanies, or when we put things together. So,
yeah, it's true. I'm working for a few fruit festivals this summer. I'm doing some meditation and some other things, and I liked speaking and doing other things like a Pita Lagine or like a nervous system reset, different activities. And I was talking to one of the festival person running it. He's like, we have 3 rules. Um, one about what you're speaking about. One of them is you can't talk about psychedelics, you can't talk about water fasting, and you can't talk about drinking your own piss. And I was like, well, I'm 3 for 3, buddy. But it was a good thing to hear that it's not like I want to get to that place where I can go to a fruit festival and talk about it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of overlap between people who are eating a lot of high
hmm
raw and this. But those conversations that do happen usually happen not in a
Well,
like
I have a good parallel experience with this. Is I've been hogging the spiritual spaces on Twitter, which is sort of like Twitter. I know I keep talking about it, but it seems to be this more mainstream platform where really crazy conversations are happening, and it's allowing it to happen. So if you search a certain thing about like the Zionists or flat Earth on YouTube, you're gonna get almost nothing. And if you search on it on that topic on Twitter, you're gonna get some hits. So uh, there's really interesting conversations, and I've been going into these quote unquote spiritual spaces, and I really had to move my topic over to my own space because it's too much. They just
mm,
can't do it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you can talk about fruitarianism in our own Shivambu festival. Like you can invite people from that festival into the other one that like to talk
I like the
about
idea.
raw vegan, and they can have a platform. They're more than welcome to have a platform because we're totally into raw vegan.
Right.
So you bring them over to your. That's what I did. I started having spiritual
Yeah.
spaces where I don't just talk about Shivambu, but I will
No, no.
often go into it.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, there's a lot of different.
That's how I had to do it. I had to give and take. I had to move that the part of the conversation they were having over here. I said, well, let's do it over here. I'm reading the Tao Te Ching. We're talking about dream experiences. We're talking about making peace with the world. We're talking about having a magical view on things all the time. And then I'm like, oh, and Shivambu. And then sometimes people have
Insert.
questions and we get a little bit deeper into it, and then like one or two people leave the space. That's okay, and the rest of people stay
Yeah, no, that happens
and
very
they
naturally.
listen.
Yeah, that happens very naturally for sure. Just in conversation, and you're talking about something else, and it's like, well, if you really have an open mind, then this could probably help that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Shivambu. I like the way you
Right.
said that.
Exactly.
Oh
And
man.
then we just got invited to somebody else's space last night who does it's called Wellness Wednesday, and he's a cycler, but he never really talked about it. They would just talk about, like you said, cayenne, lemon,
Right,
all
right,
that stuff that for a lot of people that's extreme. And then
right.
he thought we were so brave. He's like, okay, you guys come over on next Wednesday and we have like a 101 Shivambu. And I
Oh,
just went for it. When he gave me the floor, I just gave him like the, divine inspired
right,
message from the gods about Shivambu.
right.
And Joanne was laughing. She's like, you really went for the jugular.
You
And I
really.
take out the you, no you. Do not use the second pronoun. Do not use the
Oh,
first pronoun. Like
definitely,
I'm learning all this stuff, how to
definitely.
speak in the transcendental manner so that I can talk about it without aggressing people.
Right. Well, basically, you're having to be more and more flawless in your communication because even subtle attacks in language or vibe and energy
Yeah.
you picked up, and then defense goes
Especially
up.
because they're shielding up from the subject.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you gotta be super
extra.
touchy.
Yeah.
Just
And that's
recently, I
an
got
easy one though. To say I just to talk about your own experience and make you get rid of a lot of
no,
communicative.
I know. Yeah, you talk about in my experience for sure, but you don't say like too much. I. Like it's about the subject, but
Yeah.
for sure you try to avoid you.
Yes.
All right. See, that I could have said that better.
Okay.
That could have.
I have a funny idea. I have a funny idea since we're both on here. Um, what if we played a game called Elevator Pitch? What is your elevator pitch? Like 30
For
seconds
Shivambu.
on Shivambu. It's just a weird thought experiment, really. Like, let's set
That's
some
what I
time.
did last night.
Oh, that's what it was, huh?
Well, I tried to do it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So many angles to go about it at.
yeah. My, you know, Rahu. I told you about him.
Yes, yes.
Well, I mean, it's an astrological point. It's where the moon and the sun's ecliptic meet. So it keeps moving around the zodiac. And we in the Vedas they call it Rahu, which is I think more interesting than saying the North Lunar Node. Like they gave it a personality. You know, it's very in line with how people used to think back in the days. Some guy had a sword, he would impart a personality to that sword. He would think of that sword as having a spirit. A writer would think of his pen or his feather as having a spirit.
Definitely.
So even though it's not a visible light, when the sun and the moon meet there, like the eclipse happens. So there's something special about it. Plus, where it is in the zodiac will definitely have an impact. So I have it in the third house, which is involved with writing. So where Rahu is where you sort of have to make effort in a karmic sense to produce result. And it's actually a really important point because it shows you the other side of it, Ketu, the tail, is where you sort of can produce automatically. So it's sort of like you want to try and bring the tail forward to the head so that because when you produce from the tail, it's sort of like losing semen because it's the tail, right? So
Mm,
you're so like Wagner had Ketu in the 10th house, for example. He made amazing musical compositions, but he said every time he composed, he was exhausted. It exhausted him. Whereas your Rahu is where you have to make more conscious effort because it's the head, and but you can sort of achieve your Dharma better. So I have it in the third house. I can write really good, but I don't do it enough. So I should write my 30-second elevator pitch just because by writing it, like I could probably do something off the cuff, but if I wrote
no.
it, then I could work on it like more and more and more and make it really good. So yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that. And that's
Yeah.
basically a book. You're writing a booklet. I'm just gonna start.
Well, just imagine if you like if we dialed in whatever that is, that speech with whatever needs to come out, the right tone, everything. Could you convert someone who is like how deep could you convert someone? Not convert, but like get them to try
It's
it
not
because that's
just
all you
that.
want.
Like how many seeds do you plant? Because a
Yeah, that's
short
right.
video
That's right.
is gonna be watched a lot.
Right, bro. Okay, I didn't even think of it that way. I was just thinking like some random person off the
That's the
street.
whole point. Is that there's
Yeah.
30-second. Why did Twitter get so big?
Right,
It was the
right.
140 character.
Okay.
Like nobody has time. Like somebody sends me sometimes a giant, huge wall of text. I read the first line and then if it's not interesting, I stop. People just don't have the time anymore. Like, you know, it depends. I'm talking about some people. Like if Joanne wrote me a big wall of text, I would read it. But you know what I mean? Like there's so much information coming at us. We have to select. And we're
Joanne, this
becoming
isn't
more and more.
I'm not reading this.
Yeah, I do that. I do that. I read the first sentence and I'll read the last. If it
Yeah, of
sounds like
course.
they're complaining about their self pity or oh
Yes.
poor me, I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. You brought it on yourself. And I just don't say anything because I used to, and it's just what's the point? Like it just gets me all tangled up into their karma. So I've been
Right.
talking less and less.
Well, even making videos or songs or anything where it's like, oh, I really enjoy talking about this thing that's a little more accessible. And then, like you said, oh, and Shivamu, you know,
Yeah.
talking about some other modality, this, that, or the other, grounding. I mean, you can take it any which way. And it's like, oh, but this also helps.
I
You
would
know,
make a short, like with some chapter of the Tao Te Ching, and then sort of slip the Shivambu in there right at the end in a clever
right.
way. And you clip it, you put the captions. Now everybody needs captions on short videos, so you can read it. You don't need to hear it, and just spam
Yeah.
that out there and let it just go wild. So I've been meaning to hack this video editor because you have to. I guess I shouldn't say that, but anyway, so I need a video editor. I need a decent video editor, and I can start doing stuff. But
Well,
yeah, I'm busy.
it's yeah, for sure. I know a little video editing. I've done some, and gosh, it's so time consuming.
That's why
Yeah,
people buy the subscription to the AI one that just puts a decent thing together for them nowadays.
yeah. Well, I've learned to use Instagram Reels software, and you can get pretty creative with that. You can't do nearly as much as with like AI or Adobe or anything, but
With AI,
yeah. No, no, not with AI. No, no, no. That's not true. Actually, I did try it with AI. I would make these like 3-second videos with AI and then stitch them together. Um,
right? See, I tried Capwing. That's one of the AI video editors, and
yes, I used to do lyrics with Kipwing. Yeah,
mm, but there isn't. It's not great yet. Like they do a okay job, basically.
gotcha. So, well, we're doing it. We're our day to day lives. Yeah. What kind of other practices do you have that help support you?
Making inner silence. I have to. I have to remind myself, and I had a big period. Um, I'm just looking at the messages people have been saying. Oh, here, love lemon and cayenne. I've been through a period when I started Shivambu. Basically, I got into Castaneda, and then I would spend at least a few hours a day, just and then not necessarily. I could ride my bicycle and make inner silence. Um, and now I try to do it more frequently, not necessarily for a long time, but I find that if I make that really deep inner silence, just that like 2 seconds just energizes me for another hour.
Yeah, it becomes more necessary for me, these little resets throughout the day, because my meditation
Especially
practice,
us, we're like high energy sons, so
yeah,
we tend to burn out.
yeah, it's
But
true.
everybody gets energized by silence. It's not just us. It's a very good way of not being caught up by the lunar, by the the visible, the shining, the like. Oh, I have only so much time. I need to do this, and I need to like achieve this, and it it's okay. It happens, but then you have to like, which is why sort of this qigong breathing exercise, all these things will create inner silence. So that's sort of a one side effect of doing these things is so you can do it without if you know. That's why they call it sort of finding finding the Zen. As
Hmm.
these Zen masters, they would just do it at any time of the day. And that's what I try to do. It mostly comes in the breathing out. So breathing in is lunar. It's like clarity, mind, expansion, doing, and then letting go, right? Just flowing out, dissolving, non-being, non-action, death. And we've been pushing away this one side of reality in our culture. And it's been creating depression and neuroses and low energy, compensating with drugs, compensating by eating.
Chronic fatigue.
Yeah. And but just because they don't have silence. Because they've been sold this idea that they need to be productive all the time. And then when I got it through my head or through my being that one of the most productive things I can do is to re-energize myself with silence, then I flipped it around on its head and I used my own programming to create these moments of silence where, okay, now I'm being productive, I need this energy. And what I do is I picture the center of the earth, the vortex, what they call savitur in the Vedas, like the origin of the sun. And I connect to it. There's
Yes,
a bit of like
silence.
of a dying aspect, a dying of the ego, a dying of the will to do. That's why they call it non-action. The Tao,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. I see it as like a digestion. I mean, I think silence is weight loss for the soul, and
Yeah.
we spend our waking lives consuming experience, food, whatever it is, consuming with our senses, and closing our eyes and being in silence is a way for us to actually digest those experiences and or let them die within us and move through us so that we are free of their burden. And if we're not coming back to that, then we're just accumulating karmic weight, physical weight, mental weight, whatever it is.
Frustration.
Yeah, more blockages, which lead to unfortunate rebirths, which lead us into deeper of samsara and, maybe a realm of existence that is much worse than being a human. This is this is pretty good if you're a human right now. You've done some good
Yeah.
things, but it's not guaranteed the next life if you're constantly accumulating more density, because that's all it is, just density. It's not some magic show in the back. It really is density in some ways. If you have heaviness, then you're going to go to a heavier realm. If you're lightness, then you're going to go to a lighter realm. And then at
Being
some point,
light. That's
yeah, but
another
that's
thing.
not even the goal, right? Like, I, ultimately, one wants to be free of the whole thing. Um, but yeah, definitely don't
It's
want to
it's
revert in lower
yeah,
realm.
we want freedom in the flesh. That's what the ultimate is finding peace in this sort of Maya. So being here and yet being at ease. It's the
Yeah.
ultimate experience because you get to
All right.
be. I've had a few moments of really amazing beauty that just being really pierced with the beauty of being. I'm here. I'm riding my bike. I remember I was riding my bicycle in this huge traffic in Southeast Asia, and suddenly I felt like I was just experiencing it. I wasn't doing the pedaling. I wasn't doing the thinking. I was just experiencing this amazing opportunity of being here and yet being lucid. Like I would see everybody caught up, and it was the most beautiful experience I could imagine to get to see that, to get to experience that. To be in plenitude of consciousness in a state where there is no density, it's sort of like, yeah, but to do it in here. It's like, I like Gurdjieff and Uspensky, they would say, or maybe that's not them, but maybe I made that up in my mind. It's easy to be one with the awe in the mountain by yourself. But when you come back down and you go into the city, can you keep that peace? And that's when you have like the greatest, experiences.
Yes. I think the silence too is a practice in of itself, right? So when I first started
Yeah,
meditating, maybe I could process a little bit here, a little bit there. But as I started going deeper into silence, then I can process more. My bandwidth for how much I can digest and move through
yeah,
increases. And now the resets can, like you said, it can just be a few seconds sometimes
yeah.
to just come back and dump whatever was on my mind, whatever I was worried about, whatever it
It's
is.
like
Um,
I used to work out for an hour. I used to go to the gym. I don't anymore. But when I was 18, I started going to the gym, and I used to work out for like an hour. And then I found years later, I found this guy who was doing high intensity, and all it was is basically let's do as crazy intense as we can a workout. Just do every muscle, every group, every exercise once, but like go to the end and beyond. And I got more result out of this 15-minute workout. Like physically, I was getting more in shape than doing in the gym for an hour,
right.
because it's the intensity that really gives results.
Hmm.
It's like you want to heal your cancer, Shivambu is going to help you, but you want to heal now, you fast on Shivambu.
Right. Yeah.
Then you
And
get that
that,
intensity.
definitely. And it's more
So
work.
the
It's more work, the
Yeah,
intensity.
yeah, yeah. So it was a lot of work to get to that silence, that really intense silence that I can do sometimes, especially staring at the sun. Like the sun is such a helper now. And if the sun isn't around, then I think of my death.
Yeah, I use
If
pain.
I want to get really intense, like the deathbed, they call it in Buddhism, like where you go through your death as an exercise, like now I'm dying.
For
And
sure.
then you get that really intense, like could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. And it's so revitalizing. Like after that, you feel good for like a week. Just recently, I just did it, and I'm still high from it. Like 2 days ago, so much energy going through my field after that, because you lose the anxiety of
When you
like
know the end
achieve.
result. Yeah. Anything connected to your body in the world, like you lose the aspiration for it, or like the craving for it, when you realize, oh, I'm just gonna be fucking skin and bones and dust at some point, or at least
Well,
that
the
Bradley.
the experience of death is gonna take that part of you away.
Right.
Yeah. So where I am, death is not. So like there's gonna be something, but I don't have to worry about it. But it's not going to involve this flesh.
Yeah, and really,
So
I
you
think,
let go of like all the anxieties about, oh, what about my teeth? Am I going to grow them back? Or like my knee that I busted when I was like 21 years old, and all this stuff.
well, and as I go deeper into silence, like that death is occurring all the time, like
Mm.
faster than we can even imagine. But as I got more silent, I started to dissolve, right? Start to actually experience the dissolution of the moment, of Bradley, of everything, and how it's just, wow, it's dying and being birthed again so fast, every second, trillions of times. And yeah, there's nothing solid here. There's no I, there's no, but I'm not in that experience all the time. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Remembering that, that's what, I guess I was going to say that you brought up that experience where you were bicycling. How powerful are those experiences for just inspiring us and fueling us throughout our whole life, those experiences.
It sort of gives meaning to all this
Yeah, yeah,
because now you know what you live for.
right. And it's in there. It's
And
like you.
you realize more and more that you can make it happen like all the time.
Hmm.
You can I would lose it listening to people that are talking about stuff I would say I'm not interested in, or they're taking too long, they're repeating themselves. Like I'm really, you know, I'm sharp, I'm fast. So people would bore me really quickly. And then now I started realizing, but all of this I can have an amazing experience myself. Just seeing all these emotions and watching them as they come and go, of me reacting and get interested in that. And then finding that peace, that the frustration isn't there anymore, and how amazing that power of being totally in charge of your own joy, no matter what.
Right.
No matter who's boring or not boring and how deep in a dungeon you are, whatever.
Is
And
this
then
is
you
this
get
a way of telling me I'm
really,
boring?
no, I wouldn't be talking to you for that long. But then you really get loose and flowing because no matter what presents itself, you know that you can meet it. There's no situation that is too dire. There's no adversary that is too strong
No. And
for you.
it's all grist for the mill. Every experience is a learning experience. And if I'm negating or avoiding certain experiences, you know, I can't avoid them forever because they're going to keep coming. And I know
Mm,
mechanically that uh, it's coming up for me to grow from. That's it.
mm, mm.
Which is such a great thing about Shivambu because we have such a big part of our psyche sometimes is resistant to growing in certain directions and changing things. But as like the Shivambu starts infiltrating our body, mind domain, then more of us gets on board with, oh, what is the thing I'm resisting? Let's go in that direction and grow through that. Like that's the unknown right there. We know what's
That's
over
why
here.
I'm saying that ultimately it sort of takes you slowly towards Breatharianism. Because when you take it to that extreme, I guess you could say, is when you really live without needing anything.
Mm,
So there's absolutely zero, like the fruit can be enjoyed, it's there, the meal with friends is there. You're not going to cook for yourself,
right,
but your
right,
friends will bring you out. Like I'm not saying hardcore, like no, I'm against eating. Just your friends take you out and they're like, hey, yeah, order something, whatever. And you could maybe just get a smoothie, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're with your friends. You're
right.
enjoying this. But you don't need it.
No, no. And yeah,
And
that's the
getting the
apex.
body to that
Yeah.
stage and the thing that it will do to the body too, like is amazing. So yeah, slowly it shows you that you need less and less basically because you don't need all this water now all of a sudden. If you're thirsty, you just drink your shivambu. So there's
Sure,
one thing.
sure.
And you know from maybe listening to us and Chris and Ellie Tom and all these guys that if worse comes to worse, you're already even preparing yourself by doing Shivambu that you have no food, that's okay, you're going to survive.
Yeah, it's true.
Just knowing that is powerful.
Does the Breatharian have friends though? Or are they past needing friends too?
Yeah, yeah, lots. This guy, what's his name? He's from Israel, and he won a hundred grand because they dared him in like a contest there where they would CCTV like surveillance 8 or 9 days.
Yeah, this is
Watch, make sure he didn't eat.
Ray Mayor.
Right, Ray Mayor. That's it. And so that was his marketing stunt. That thing that he did for 8 or 9 days. They would take blood samples from him, and he fainted once because they took blood. But his all his levels were stable in his blood, so he won. And then now he's doing Breatharian retreats where people will go and like start on smoothies, and then they'll have like 3 days water fast, and then they'll have like 1 or 2 days dry fast at the end. They'll do like a 7 day thing, and he's charging 5, 6, 7 grand a piece. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy is making a good living, and he has like a huge community of like his life is more social now probably than ever, and
Right.
he eats, but he's considered by almost anyone to be a breatharian.
Yeah. Yeah.
I call
It's like
myself a
important.
breatharian even though I eat, just because I'm in that mentality.
It's so important to, I think, to get to that mentality, because in a world where things can crumble at any minute, just
I think
knowing that
we
you
need to
can.
loosen the term breatharian. Like, we're all breatharians.
Sure, sure.
In our bodies, we can do that. We can live off the air.
It'd be nice to measure, like, oh, what's your chronic capacity? Oh, well, I'm running on. Oh, and here's an interesting thing: the amount of calories that most people take in does not account for all the energy that comes out.
That they
So
put out.
even people, eating at McDonald's 5 times a week are still operating on prana.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
So,
Plus, if you measured the calories that is still left in their feces, then you would be way off.
right, right. So that'd be interesting to find out, is like, what are people's
Plus,
chronic
yeah, the social ramifications of there being more and more people who like are confirmed by the people around them to almost not eat any calories.
Well, just think of
Like,
it
this
as a
becoming
metric,
more and
bro.
more like of an awareness that this is a thing is gonna have an effect on the construct.
Yeah, I mean, think of it as a metric. Like, you go into the doctor's office and they check your heart rate, they check your body fat. It's like, what if there was a way to, like, how much energy are you converting from the ether around you? Um, and
Well, the test is
that'd be a
basically you
health
stop
market.
eating and you see how well you do. Shivambu creates this space in the mind to realize Breatharian is real and achievable, says Joanne. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, it does, for sure, for sure. And it
So,
simultaneously, like, rids one of the craving of it.
and being a challenge type guy myself, like ever since I sort of came across, because I thought at first I had this idea, like most people, that the Breatharian is like skin on bone guy who's almost always dying all the time. Then I
Yeah,
got the reality check, seeing these guys at the gym like lifting more than they ever did. Oh, that's better. And it just, because all my life I've been sort of also oriented towards, I have a strong Taurus, and I like the physicality and the challenge and the beauty, the aesthetic of being your own work of art in the body. So when I saw what Chris Manley was doing, and he's not showing it very well, but the skin, the effects on the skin, like creating brand new skin. Like, I'm gonna turn 40. I have defective skin. So all this stuff is sort of pushing me to do this challenge at least once in my life anyway. I'm
word,
gonna have to.
word. Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
So it didn't work out astrologically, I think, because I really started wanting to do this at the beginning of Taurus, and I think it's a bit late because you really want a north going. So basically, the zodiac, right? Just to, for you maybe and for the listeners, has nothing to do with the fixed stars. Nothing. That's a myth, and that's why this whole confusion about like the sidereal zodiac and the 13th sign and all that stuff is nonsense. What they did is the sun is really the center of our world, and it powers everything. The planets are not, they do not, they are not centers of energy. They're expressions of solar energy. The moon doesn't give any energy. It's actually a cold light. It is a reflection of solar energy. It is a more psychological solar energy. So every energy in our heavens is solar. It's given off by the sun. So the study of the solar movements, which is the most stable, most constant celestial body or light in the heavens, is the sun. It traces the same ecliptic year after year. It goes to 23 degrees, 26 minutes, 52 seconds north. Exactly. Every year. And then south. And then back. So it's the tempo of our world. It's the basis of our time systems, all of them. So the zodiac is a division of its movement, where Aries is when it crosses the equator going north. That is where if you are on the equator as an observer, on the point of Aries, when the sun crosses into the vernal equinox, if the sun is right above you at noon, with solar noon, real noon, the sun will exactly be 90 degrees above. That's what the spring equinox is. That's the point of Aries. And then we get to Cancer, which is what I was talking about earlier, the solstice. On the 3rd of Cancer, the sun will meet Jupiter this year. So this solstice will be very festive. There'll be a lot of luck. There'll be a lot of wisdom. There'll be a lot of good beginnings. Anyway, then you go into Libra, right? That's when it crosses the equator south, going south. And then you get to Capricorn when it stops on the southern tropic of Capricorn.
Right.
So that's why it's called the Tropic of Capricorn. And then we just entered that. Now we're in Capricorn when the 20th of Capricorn, from the 1st of Capricorn to now, the sun has only moved north about 1 degree and 20 minutes. It's really just slowly, which is why in a Stone Age type civilization, you would try and reckon the beginning of the year from the winter when the sun just starts moving back above the tree line on the mountain there, which would take you a few days to figure out. So it would be like around the 1st of January. So if you're more technologically advanced, like where we are obviously, then the most precise point you can determine would be the equinox, because of the way you can look at this. If you have like a zodiac solar dial, they still have, there was one in Palma, and you can see the shadow will like go up, and then you'll be like Pisces, and then you'll see the equator. And then the difference between one day and the next, you'll see the shadow move really fast, because when you're in Pisces and in Aries, the sun is moving north really fast. Like every day is like 1 degree. Whereas now it took us 20 days to move 1 degree.
Right.
So we're just picking up speed now. I said in the new moon that just happened, I said, we're going to start this fast. And it didn't actually take hold. We didn't go full on fasting, but we were eating, for us, a lot before. Now we really slowed down.
Yeah, I've also felt that same slowing down, eating way less. I'm still eating, but it's like that craving to like reach a certain point of fullness has significantly
I just
died.
don't even want most of the food that I used to crave now.
Yeah.
So
I
so this is very Capricornian, that something new is taking roots. Capricornian is laying down the roots for something new.
Perfect. I just air potted a few persimmon trees, so hopefully those take root.
Yeah, it's a waxing moon. You did perfect. Always plant in the
Sweet.
waxing moon.
Yeah, I didn't even. That was all
So you
intuition.
follow the moon. The moon cycle is very important. They used to have a calendar just based on the moon. They still do. The Chinese calendar is solely lunar. So it's readjusted for the sun. Every couple of years you need to add a month in there because you're falling off. But it's really about the moon, because the moon is determining our short-term cycles. It's called the cycle of consciousness. So every new moon, there's a new cycle of consciousness begins. Something else will be brought to light. Something new will either take shape or be seen. And in the full moon, there's like the full brilliance of that idea, of that concept is brought to light. Right? So the whole way the waxing moon is, this comes into being. So I'm a waxing moon at birth. You're a waning moon. So the waning moon is that idea now, it needs to be reintegrated into our spirit, which is the sun. Now the moon is going back to the sun. She's losing her light, meaning that idea is like now taking an incorporeal form. It's being integrated into our consciousness. So waning moon types are integrators. They take something and They'll take something from the past, maybe like Rujar, take a lot of astrology from the past, and he integrated it into a new modern form. And then it starts over again. So the sun and the moon, like when you follow the sun and the moon, you can start timing your stuff. You forget about the planets. There's too much detail. Just follow the sun and the moon. Where is the sun? So now we're going to enter Aquarius in 10 days. So that's when things really become powerful. The roots that were planted in Capricorn now have energy. They become ideas in motion. That's why Aquarius is revolution, right? It's enlightenment. It's bringing things to the masses. Now we built the tramway. Now Aquarius means the tramway is running, and people are like going to villages they've never been, and all of this new enlightenment. That's why they call this the age of Aquarius. There's this new infrastructure in place. All these books that we didn't have access to for like 100 years are now available, and people can download them on Zlib. Then we're going to get to Pisces, which is sort of like the full integration into the collective. It's an emotion. It's a water sign, and it's a very it's a letting go sign, because a lot of things that we used to have are going to be going obsolete. They're not relevant anymore. A lot of what we thought was true is not true anymore, and so there's a sort of dying process that takes place to start the new cycle at Aries, which is the rebirth. So from around Aquarius, which is where Pluto is, which is quite significant, when the sun meets Pluto, it begins another Plutonian cycle, which is a cycle of power. So when the sun meets Pluto, I believe the next new moon in Aquarius, if I don't start outright fasting, I'll be very lean on the food. And it could be until the next new moon, which is after the Mars is going to go direct again. And Mars is retrograde now, which means the Mars aspect of our world is now countering life force. It's not natural. It's something unnatural. You were saying your back was hurting. And there's a sort of lack in our tendency to face life head on in a Martian way is sort of lacking a bit. We're hesitating more. So the next new moon is still going to be retrograde, but the new moon in Pisces, which is going to set us up for a really big new year, which is really in Aries. The new year is in Aries. At that point, for sure, I believe in Pisces new moon, I will be fasting. So, I'm not resisting anything. It's just happening, and I can feel my body now, and it's like, you don't want that donut. You just don't want it. Like, we had one today. We split one in half, me and Joanne, because we were like, there's this nostalgia to it. And
for sure.
I ate it, and I was like,
meh. That's renunciation, huh? That's real renunciation. It's not pushing anything away. It's just recognizing, I've tasted that. I've done that. I know what that's like.
Yeah. And it's not, I know what's going to happen now that I'm digesting it.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me.
Luster,
I'd rather have a joint at this point.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I think a lot of Breatharians are like, if they'll have something, it'll be a chocolate cake or a coffee or a joint. But the rest, or a mango, or orange juice. Chris swears by orange juice. It's like, tastes like the sun, man. Like, how can you resist? Orange juice is amazing.
Citrus in general. I just love citrus, and we're right in citrus season now.
Yeah, citrus, I think, is the fruit of the gods.
Yeah,
nothing beats citrus.
Just quite juicy, quite.
I could see myself having a lemon orchard.
Oh, lemons, man. They get so sweet when the tree ripened too. Holy smoke.
That's the only thing we have in the fridge is lemons.
Yeah, I got a bunch of lemons yesterday, and
the Mediterranean, man, is citrus land.
Oh, I know it.
They're falling off on the road here now. It's citrus season. We're picking up oranges on the street.
Beautiful.
I know. I love it. I don't want to go back to Montreal. Like, I want to go back to see my family and say hi. And there's a lot of things I have to do. I have to make peace. Like, because I left sort of in anger a bit years and years ago. And now I'm a different
Yes, you haven't
person.
been back home in what, 7 something years? What is it?
Yeah, a long time. I don't know.
Yeah,
Long
that
time. 2014 or 2015.
that would be
Yeah, almost 10 years.
a big reunion for sure.
Yeah, like
But,
my sister is like, a lady now.
right.
It's so weird. My
So
my
weird.
dad's an old dying man, He doesn't know about Chivambu. He's losing his teeth drinking beer and stuff.
Do
And
they know that you do it?
well, they know because my mother is doing it now to save her own life. She's supposed to be on a
Right.
fast, but she doesn't talk to me. Like we're in good terms, but she just doesn't communicate. And she was starting a fast in the waning moon, which is not ideal, but she started. I know she did 2 weeks for sure, and she has a condition, like a really deep condition that I know she can heal if she does this. But it's
Right.
it's it takes will to not eat anything.
Oh, especially for the first few days. After the first few days, I can the cravings drastically dissipate. But those
Yeah,
first couple
the
days,
reason you'll eat again is because you'll be with friends or family, and then
yeah, or just something happens where like the nervous system gets out of
mm,
whack, and you start
mm,
start reaching for things, and it's like, whoa, okay, just bring the nervous system back down. Give myself 10, 20 minutes, and whatever that reaching out for usually dies away.
sorry,
So
I had to block a troll there. He's gone. So I think we've done enough tonight.
I don't feel like we look malnourished though. Is it just me? I mean, I
No,
don't know.
don't even repeat it.
Yeah, it's just inflammation like that people have, I guess, that get accustomed to like an
I'd love
inflammatory.
to see what he looks like.
Yeah.
They have a big mouth, eh? When they don't show themselves. It's okay. Don't give it any energy. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisatya Guru Vaidurya Praparajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyatha Om Paisaje Paisaje Maha Paisaje Paisachara Chasamukate Swaha. There. That's what I do. I don't even repeat what they said. Just
I mean, it
they're
doesn't it
gone.
doesn't
It's
trigger
over.
me. It doesn't bother me
No,
to
I'm
talk.
not saying that, but there's a magical act to that. It really works. You don't even give them a headspace. It's not denial.
It's
I
isn't it
doubt
more? I don't
myself
know.
enough on my own. Trust me.
Yeah,
I don't need a lot of critique. I critique myself.
sure, sure.
And I'm going to look different in 3 months. You watch.
Well, and also it's just a fucking body. Like, you know, it's gonna
And we
wither
have
away.
bad light. We don't have a Sony S3, A7, S3 with like perfect light and stuff. It's nighttime here. We have bad light. It's a thing.
Um,
Cameras.
where we are, yeah, what are cameras, mirrors, scrying mirrors.
These guys that have like big shows, they have a 3 grand camera to, and they have proper lighting. And yeah, it's a thing. So I don't feel like I look bad at all. I look great.
Um, yeah, to each their own. So I'm loving it, man. I'm loving that we got to connect and like plant some good seeds. I think
Would
that
you be
the
down
water.
to do like maybe with some more people even have a video with another person?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, dude. I'm easy. I'm easy.
Cool.
I'm open to people who want to join on. In general, I think for me, I'm wanting to just be more involved in the Shivambu community.
I'd love it if you come on with me whenever you can, if I have another guest.
Yeah, word.
You could be
Let me
like
know.
the other half of this show that we're gonna host.
Let me know.
if you can. If you can.
I'm
So
gonna have some space over the next couple of weeks as long as I kind of have an idea, but like especially uh like
so
in the
you give
morning.
me your schedule, and then
Yeah.
I try and book somebody else on that time, and we'll
Yeah, yeah,
go.
sure,
We
sure.
could go like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm just
So stay in touch and organize something more and visualize us together somewhere this summer.
yeah, good seeds planted. There will be I can't
Even
even.
if you don't, if you're gonna be in Europe, so we're gonna hook up.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty
Could
easy.
it could just be me, you, and like three or four other people meeting somewhere for the
Yeah,
day,
yeah, easy.
informal,
Easy. I love it.
and
I
then
love
we chant for an hour, and that's it.
or yeah, we can do a lot of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Like
Yeah.
we got options. I'd love to do the chanting though.
Yeah. Okay.
Dancing, we could dance. We could have a fire and do a fire dance and chanting.
I'm feeling drawn. More and more this year to more Paida, which is a very interesting practice with people. That would be fun too.
I don't know what that is. Is that
That
someone?
is
Paita?
Paida Lajin. It's a slapping practice. So
Ah,
yeah, it's a pretty powerful practice too.
so
I
you slap
I
each
definitely
other?
you slap yourself or you slap each other. Yeah, yeah. But basically, you unclog the meridians like effective. You
Oh, yeah,
basically
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
pay
yeah.
your karma real fast. Yeah, yeah. But all over, and you get to.
No, I've done that, but
Yeah,
I'll start again now that you say it.
yeah, yeah. I've been
I'll
doing it
do
for
it.
years now, and it opens things up for sure. It definitely opens things up.
I'll send you this guy on YouTube. His name is Leo Moves. Have you seen him?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have seen him.
He does these like body movement workouts.
Nice.
Anyway,
Well, this
it's good stuff.
it is. It's great stuff. We have a lot
And I'm
to
gonna evolve
contribute.
my own style out of that. So, one of the things I want to do is, like I said, it's a center that is always there. People can come, and of course, it's gonna be like a yoga studio or whatever, dance studio.
Yeah.
Because the body
Let's
movement, man, is
let's
huge.
get.
Like, there's
I want to be a
something to
part of
it. Why is
building.
everybody into yoga? Is because there's something to it.
Right. Imagine with some like badass earth homes that we built too. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The practitioners built. You know, mixing the urine in the clay mix, for example, and the plaster, and just this
Have you
epic.
done that?
Some, yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, well, you come over and we'll do it, and then
I
we'll
have
do it in
friends that are
Texas.
more
Or
experienced though.
I'm interested in Arizona actually because I'm into the sunny places. Phoenix is the sunniest place in the U.S.
Well, I'll tell you, man, Arizona's got a lot going on. They've got mountains, they've got sun. They're landlocked, but they do have a lot
And
of
where are
fun
you
stuff.
gonna find sun worshippers? Where it's sunny.
Florida, Florida,
No,
yeah,
I'm just saying where it's sunny. You're gonna find, and I get along
yeah,
with these people. Sun gazers, I get along with them.
yeah, man, yeah, it's true. I've been sun
That's
gazing a
why I
lot.
want whatever we're doing to be in a sunny spot always.
Oh, by the way, for anyone watching, I was thinking about this the other day. For people who sun gaze, but are only doing it during the dusk and dawn, you don't actually have to do it during dusk and dawn. You can even do it when the sun is at its highest.
Yeah,
And if it's too
I do it all the
strong,
time.
if it's too strong, you can always cover one eye at a time. And if that's too strong, you can create like a slit so your
I just
iris.
wink a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
but you
looking
can
at
do
it through the
straight
little
on.
slits. And when
But
you
then
do that,
the winking kind of gives some tension here, though, eh? Like you can
yeah, it's
open
hard to
full
sustain.
relaxed.
You're right.
So
Yes.
you can open it full relaxed with like a slit like that. And this is crazy.
Yes.
I learned this.
Or indirectly through like a reflection on water or something. You're still sun gazing.
Yes. And one more thing. If you bend over and look at it like through your legs, like standing
Mm-hmm.
up and look at it
Mm-hmm.
upside down, it's incredible how much more you can absorb that way and how much easier
Wow.
it is to look directly in the sun. It's a weird hack, but try it. It's
I'll try it.
And I think
And when
just
you
because you're
do
getting
that and
so
you
much
look at it
blood in
through your
there.
eyebrows, when you look at the sensory eyebrows in the middle of the day, then you'll see where the cross came from.
Right, right. Yeah, it does. It does cross. It's true. Anyways, I love sun gazing. I'm glad we got to chat about
Yeah.
that a bit.
And then try and do a little moon gazing once in a while.
Definitely, dude. I love moon gazing. Yeah.
Because it's more difficult to get her, but she's easy to get now. Well, it's raining now, but it's the waxing moon, which means she's up earlier, like
More
in the
elements.
first part of the night.
More
All
time
right,
with
man.
and the light. Well, I appreciate it, bro.
No, I
Good chatting
appreciate.
with you.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
We got power.
You wanna end it with a few ohms?
With together.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how it sounds. You lead.
All right then. Good, brother. Speak soon.
Yes. Farewell. Love and power.
Love and power. Metta to you.